All right, everybody. Sorry I can't be there with you today, but you're in good hands. We are starting our big descent into the end of the semester, end of IM2, hopefully for all of you. So with that, we are going to do a review. It is your option to take notes on it. As always, I would highly recommend it. You can add it to the end of your notebook if you would like. So after our last page of notes, just so you have like all the final exam review notes together. However you want to do it. If you are choosing not to take notes, that's on you, but you will sit quietly and pay attention because you will need this information. We're going to focus on different topics each day. I'm going to remind you of formulas, and that's really what I would focus on. Writing are the formulas, and then maybe just watching the problems, write one or two. Again, up to you. I don't care how you do it, but make sure you are paying attention because your final is going to make a difference in your grade. So today's review is going to be on special right triangles. And there are two types of special right triangles. There are 45, 45, 90s and 30, 60, 90s. Okay, so both triangles have a 90-degree angle, but you have the other angles that are different. Now, here's when you have to use these. These must be used when the directions say solve, something along the lines of like solve for the missing sides, keep answers in simplest, whatever, radical, I'm sure I spelled that wrong, form. Okay, here's the important part. If simplest is spelled wrong, it's okay. We know I don't teach English. Simple, I don't think there's that I. Whatever. Okay. Simplest radical form. Your final answer has to be a radical. Okay. Using trig functions will not work here because you will get decimals. And then your calculator does not convert it to a radical. So you have to use the 45, 45, 90 and the 30, 60, 90 triangle. So let's review the information about those triangles. So in a 45, 45, 90, both sides across from the 45-degree angles will be congruent. They are exactly the same because the angles are the same. So we are going to label those sides S, as in Sam. Across from the 90-degree angle is S radical 2. And then for a 30, 60, 90, across from the 30 is S. Across from the 60 is S radical 3. And across from the 90 is 2S. Those are like your formulas, even though it's not a formula. So step one always is going to be to label your sides. That looks like an R. It's an E, I promise. Label your sides. Step two is going to be to solve for S. And step three is plug everything in. So plug back in. Okay. We're going to do one example of a 30, 60, 90 and one example of a 45, 45, 90. So that you have that information. Okay, so let's look at number one. So 7 radical 2 over 2, x and y. Okay, again, first step is to label your sides. So across from 45 is S. Across from 45 is S, across from 90 is S radical 2. Leave that up. Step 2 is to solve for S. Well, the nice thing here is S is already solved for us. If you have to get S by itself, then you're going to probably need to divide, but in this case we know S. Step 3 is to plug it back in. Well, y is super easy because it equals s, and we already know what s is. So y equals 7 radical 2 over 2. X, on the other hand, we have to do a little bit of work. So I know s, so I'm solving for x. I know s is 7 radical 2 over 2, and I need to multiply that by radical 2. Hopefully you remember that rad 2 times rad 2 is just 2, because 2 times 2 is 4, and the square root of 4 is 2. So on top I have 7 times 2. On the bottom I have 2. Okay, you can multiply that out and get 14, or I know that those are going to cancel automatically. So x equals 7. Okay, this is what you're looking for. So theoretically, you could have used trig functions to find this value because it is a whole number. You don't know that it's going to be a whole number though. This one, you needed to use special right triangles because there is no way to get that in your calculator using trig functions. Okay, so that's an example of a 45, 45, 90. Let's look at a 30, 60, 90. All right, step 1 is to label our side. So across from 30 is S. Across from 60 is S radical 3. And across from 90 is 2S. Now this is a good example where I actually have to solve for S. S is not by itself. So I am going to divide by radical 3. You are allowed to divide these radicals since they go into each other and they're both underneath the radical. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. So this is really S equals 3 radical 2. That's your value for S. Okay, so 6 divided by 3 gave us 2. Now we're going to take that and plug it back in because y equals S. Y equals 3 radical 2. X equals 2 times 3 radical 2. So x equals 6 radical 2. This is an example of a problem that you cannot do at all with trig functions because both of your answers are radicals. So again, you have to use the special right triangles when it's a 45, 45, 90 or a 30, 60, 90, and the directions tell you that the answer needs to be in simplest radical form. Okay. Now I will have this video in the locker under final exam review. So if you need to rewatch it for whatever reason, feel free to grab a Chromebook and do that. Watch it at home. You are going to have an assignment that is purely 30, 60, 90s and 45, 45, 90s. I am going to check that assignment on Monday. So as always, the more that you get done in class, the less you have to do for homework. If you don't have it on Monday, you will receive a 0. There is no opportunity for you to make it up after the fact. That includes forgetting it at home. That includes not doing it. If you have a friend that's absent, tell them that they need to check their school loop email because I will send out an email making sure that everybody checks the locker to get everything that they need tomorrow. I hope that you all have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday.